Oh, hi. Hold on. One thing I thought we'd talk about today is rate confirmations. Oh, why am I holding this? Hold on. Sorry about that. So I've been thinking about this. I've been thinking about this last load and how brokers get no respect. No more headset base. Stopped working. We had to send it back. Unbelievable. $350 US, and it's not working. Okay, let's put aside the Ruger rifle manual and Mossberg owner manual that I've been reading. And I got two sheets of paper here that said load number, machine, load number, boom, mast. And that's what I want to talk about today, because before I did this load, and this is only my second load, right? The forklift, I was looking through rate confirmations on my computer, because I mentioned this before. It's super helpful when you can go back and look at your paperwork. You know, I have my permits most of the time. Even I have my I'll just add a bit of more light. How's this? I have my permits, I have my bills of lading, I have even my invoices, so I can see what people paid me. So I have a special top secret folder called tracking, and inside this folder I have 5 more folders called trips 2018, trips 2019, trips 2020, 21, and then the last folder is trips 2022. And then if I click on, let's say, 2018, inside I have 12 folders, one for each month of the year. That was my basically business record system. It worked very well. And then, so now let's say I want to look at what happened to December. Oh yeah, okay, I see December, April, August, December, and for some reason the computer sorts them by the first letter, so the first is always April, even though 2018, I think I started in, I got my truck in March, I think, right? So it arrived, my Kenworth arrived in February, and I didn't keep any records because I started trucking when I had a Mac. Remember, I think I did a few loads in November and December, but I had no record system, and so those are all lost. But I remember my first load with that 50-ton, was it Kaufman? No, I think I already had my Fontaine drop side rail 55-ton. My first load was a total disaster because it was a nice load, a big wheel loader. You can probably find it. It was posted sometime in 2017, but it only paid, like, you know, I had no idea, right, how much to charge people. So the broker says, okay, we're paying this. And so the rate was really ridiculous, but it was going into like Eastern U.S. And so the only way to do that was via toll roads. And so I remember I paid so much in tolls and permits, I was like almost crying by the end, you know. So maybe I made like $1,000 in a week or something. So then 2018, when I had the new truck, I started this system. And so now I'm particularly interested in, for some reason, in the older, like 2018. So let's say, what's the first? Let's say April. I go into April, and then inside each month I have a folder per broker, right? So for example, here, April, I have DVL, Mammoth, Trident, and Trinity. And so let's go into DVL, and those are names of brokers. And I see here revised, blah, 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 something, signed rate confirmation. So let's go into revise, because I know that's the rate confirmation. And what I'm interested in is because these are big brokers, right? I work with them, so I know they're okay, so they paid me on time. Oh, because all of these, what's cool is that, as you might know from my past videos, all my loads, pretty much like 99.9%, were factored, right? And in order for a load to be factored, I had to check their credit with my factoring company. So they would not factor every broker, right? So you have to go on the website, put in the MC number, broker MC number, and then like the color code was green, means they approved. If it's yellow, you have to call in or email, and it's up to their discretion of the factoring company to allow or not allow, you know. And so all these brokers in my book are like good brokers, you know, brokers that you can trust. And so these guys got to this point somehow, right? So that means that they were doing something right to be good brokers, right? So it makes sense. And so I'm particularly interested in what these guys were writing down as conditions on their rate confirmations, right? Because like this current disaster of a trip, right, with a forklift, I wrote down, you know, what I wanted them to do, the carrier. Like I wrote it down, you know, daily check-ins are mandatory or obligatory or required, must notify the broker when trucks arrive and leave the shipper. Was I notified when trucks arrived at the shipper? That's a negative. Was I notified when trucks left the shipper? Affirmative, but not by the carrier, but by the shipper. The shipper was nice enough to send me an email. Hey, Sergei, this is 2:30 p.m. here in Ontario. Your trucks just left. They're on their way. And I just copied that email, sent it to the carrier. That's not how it's supposed to be, right? And like some people were saying, yeah, the freight brokers are kind of like, you know, nobody, everybody, you know, curses at them, and you know they get no respect. But so I don't think it's true. It all depends who you work with, right? So next time, of course, I'll be much more selective with carriers. And so let's start with DVL Logistics. And surprisingly, when I look at the rate confirmation, they don't have half a page of notes like what I did. And my boss was saying, oh, Sergey, you must put down, you know, they have to be ready to load the machine themselves, offload themselves. They have to wear PPE, you know, or at least have it to show to the shipper or consignee. Like we had like half a page of notes. And did it do any good? No. Now this guy, DVL, actually this was a Taylor, oh man, I remember this. This was a Taylor forklift, surprisingly, forklift as well. I picked up at the factory in Mississippi. Taylor Machine Works. And he only put notes on the stop, you know, like there's a pickup location, like stop 1, and then deliver 2, stop 2, right? And so stop notes, it says open hours, Monday, Friday, 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. That's the note he put in. And then he says first come, first serve. Should be first served, but they just wrote first come, first serve. Any discrepancies, comma, please contact person's name at DVL, and then DVL must be notified of any delays, sell so and so 24/7. That's it. That's all they put in. And then in the delivery stop 2 notes, they said the same. Open hours, Monday, Friday, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. First come, first serve. Any discrepancies, please contact name at DVL. DVL must be notified of any delays, sell, boom. That's it. And then inside, and then the load, they just say, okay, Taylor, XRS9972E, serial number so-and-so, 78,000 pounds, dimensions, length, width, height. And then freight, they also have in the freight section. They don't say what trailer is required. They don't say full truckload, no truckload. And then, oh, the rate. I see the rate, so I got 12,800 Canadian. See? Cool. I can see all this. All right. Now let's look at Trident. What was this? Trident Some ugly picture of a Cat 988. I don't think it worked. I remember I was trying to move this one. Order confirmation, but let's see what they put in for order confirmation. It was a super tall, you know, Cat 988, right? Like old style. And it was just moving inside Ontario, and they were paying a lot of money. I think it was like 5,000 US for like 150 miles because it was so tall. And I tried to move it on my RGN, drop side rail RGN, and we couldn't get permits. So wait a second, not 5,000. So again, I have all the rate confirmations. It was 3,800 bucks for 127 miles. What is that, like 40? I'm just curious. And this is US currency. So if somebody, and some people say there's no money in heavy haul, there is money in heavy haul. 3,800 divided by 127 is 30 bucks a mile US, but I had to drive, I think, 150 miles to that location, Huntsville, Ontario, and they messed up the location, I think. I don't know, did I do this one or not? Yeah, it was going to Ritchie Brothers. So they were just moving it from Huntsville, Ontario to Ritchie Brothers in Bolton. And instructions, Toromont Cat 988, B serial number. Okay, and then at the bottom of the load confirmation, they have something in bold letters says agreement. Now here, this is the important part. That's what I'm researching today, and I'm taking you guys along with me on this trip. So what did the broker add? So these are like conditions. No double brokering allowed. Please send invoices to accounting at, okay? No additional charges will be paid without prior approval. I like that. Accessorials, like late, you know, delays, accessorials must be reported at the time of shipment prior to departure. Or we require exclusive use of the trailer. No commingling allowed unless otherwise specified on the rate confirmation. By signing this document, you are agreeing to our terms. Please sign and fax or email back to, and the name of the guy and his email address. And I signed it, put my name in. No commingling allowed. Like some of the language here, it's kind of like funny, right? But I like this. We require exclusive use of the trailer. And no additional charges will be paid without prior approval, and no double brokering is allowed. Because of course, unless if you don't know, double brokering for a carrier means that the carrier, because in Canada, and this was Canada, right, inside Canada. In Canada, you don't need any special license to be a freight broker. Well, let me rephrase that. You don't need a license if your load is moving inside Canada. Let's say Huntsville, Ontario to Bolton, Ontario. So anybody can do it. And so any carrier can do it, right? And so that's what sometimes people do. You know, let's say the guy finds a good load somewhere on a load board, but he doesn't have his own trucks. And he says, oh, my Jesus, like the load pays, you know, 30 bucks US a mile. So let me call my buddy, you know, Jeff. So he calls Jeff, hey, Jeff, I'll give you $5 a mile. Can you do this? And Jeff puts down his beer bottle and says, $5 a mile, man, where do I go? How do I sign up, you know? And so he makes the money, of course, and that's what's called double brokering. So now, if that happens, the broker has no idea who's moving the load, who showed up at the shipper. If something happens, that, like, the broker has no idea if that carrier is a good carrier, right? That's just, you know, somebody that the carrier you thought was your carrier gave that load to. And so now all kinds of you know, SHIT can hit the fan, you know. And so double brokering, many rate confirmations do not allow this. Okay, so this was Trident. And let's see, my favorite company, I did a lot of loads for these guys, Trinity. And so these guys, again, all these guys were confirmed by my factoring company as reliable brokers that pay on time, at least within 30 days to my factoring company, right? Because my factoring company would give me 95%, no recoil, a pretty high fee, but they can do US dollars, they can do Canadian dollars. They had branches in Canada and US. Hold on a second. Hello, Sergei. Yeah, I'm just doing a video here, going through some old rate confirmations to see what conditions brokers were putting in. Yeah, very, very instructive, you know, like I'm learning what people put in, and so it's interesting. Yeah, sorry about that. That was my boss calling me for advice because, you know, he knows that I lived in Ontario since '97 and just moved here. And his old vehicle finally died, and he doesn't like buying new ones, so he's looking for a good used one. And he says, "Oh, I can see some vehicles in Ontario, but for some reason," he says, "I thought they were all getting rusted pretty fast." And I said, "No, that's only if it's like Northern Ontario." But so like London, Toronto, you know, St. Catharines, Hamilton, I said it should be okay. Anyway, back to the video. So we're looking at the rate confirmation from Trinity Logistics. And so again, we have my name, carrier name, my phone number. Stop one was with the address was Baltimore Port in Maryland. And then notes under stop one, it says a TWIC. And then it's basically need the TWIC card, right? And then it says US to Canada, Canadian customs broker, and so. Here's the email, and here's their phone number. And then Canadian entries, basically under the stop, they give you the information about the customs broker, because of course this was US to Canada. And then stop two, it just basically the same thing. They just copy the load information, serial number, one piece, 46,000 pounds. So this was a Sumitomo crawler excavator, according to the description. And then shipment notes, number one, TWIC, must have a TWIC. Number two gives you the serial number. And number three, again, duplicates the customs broker information. But then the most important is at the bottom. So this was like 2 pages. No, 3 pages. But page 3 is about quick pay, so page 1 is about the load, but then at the bottom of page 1, there's terms of agreement, which continue onto page 2. And it's all like lots of text. And we do have this at my company. There's a separate agreement, which usually is not included in the rate confirmation. So, but here, they include everything in the rate confirmation. But let's say the first 3 are terms of agreement. Number 1, for all shipments going to and through the state of California, the following applies. Okay, so there's some California rules. Number 2, general. Rate confirmation agreement is a contract. Agreement shall become part of the master contract into which the above-mentioned carrier and Trinity have already entered. So basically it's all official. So that's not what I'm looking for. This is basically the general legal agreement. But as for notes, all they put in is TWIC and the name of a customs broker. They don't say that it's exclusive use of trailer. But let's see, do they mention somewhere here? Oh, actually, yeah. In clause 3, they say equipment. Unless otherwise agreed in writing, carrier agrees that any and all equipment used to transport or assist in the transportation of property will be exclusively used for that purpose. Carrier agrees that it will only use its own equipment and that the equipment used matches the DOT number of the company signing the rate confirmation. And of course, there's insurance. Carrier certifies that its cargo insurance does not contain any exclusion relative to the commodity. Okay, so that's not what we're here looking. I'm looking more at, I would say, notes, right? Okay, let's look at this crane company I once worked directly with. But I don't think I even had the rate confirmation with these guys. I still remember. Yeah, it was all done. Oh, I think it was all done by email. And he just sent me an email. And he had some carrier requirements. Basically, they didn't have any specified, like something that says rate confirmation, right? So this was just very informal. Okay, let's look at August 2018. I did a load for Landstar. August 10th, 2018, 1:43 p.m. I have all the info. Man, I like it. So standard Landstar confirmation, FB, freight bill number. So pickup date, this was Thunder Bay. I picked up a Scoop Cat R1700. Man, these suckers are huge. And then delivery was Houston, Texas. Instructions, it says carrier paid in U.S. funds, which actually I found quite often a problem with rate confirmations issued by American brokers, that they would never indicate U.S. or Canadian, right? Like I was a Canadian carrier, and let's say Landstar U.S. broker would send me a rate confirmation, and it'll say, total carrier pay, let's say $10,000, like 10,000 Canadian or 10,000 US, because the symbol is the same. And when I confronted them about this, they, oh, of course it's US. Like, okay, well, you're talking to a Canadian carrier, the dollar sign is the same. So when I would sign, before I signed the rate confirmation and send it back, I would always add US funds, like in red or blue. And they were just, ha, of course it's US funds. Well, you're laughing now, but I don't want to argue with you after the load is delivered, right? So these guys, and in this particular case, they added that phrase, carrier paid in U.S. funds. And this paid $15,000 from Thunder Bay to Houston, Texas. And, okay, what does it say here for notes? Carrier must sign load confirmation and fax back at... attention, carrier certifies it is aware of the California Air Resources Board's truck and bus regulations. Give me a break. And then at the top of page 2 they say billing instructions, basically what's required to get paid. And what we do at my company, we send them instructions after the fact. Like after it's delivered, we send them instructions what they should send and where, just to remind them. But you see, a lot of brokers, they include this on the rate confirmation. But also at the top here it says, any questions or concerns about this load, please call agency and the phone number. And important, carrier call agent if your dispatch instructions below differ from bill of lading. I don't know, I never had this issue before. And so this was Landstar, and then we have another Landstar, but since they're all the same, let's move on to December 2018. I did a load for Armstrong. So I'm giving all these names because this been, like 6 years ago. So there was any confidentiality agreements, they should have all expired. And as a broker myself, I prefer not to work with other brokers because then I need another agreement. And there's, as you're seeing, I'm already having issues with even working directly with a shipper. Right, so I'm like a middleman between the shipper and the carrier, and even then I get like 50 emails a day, 20 calls a day, right, from the customer's customer, and then the customer's buyer, final party. So it's already as complicated as it can be without involving another broker. And so I prefer not to get loads from other brokers, and that's why I'm kind of like showing you my cards here, what I did as a carrier. And so here we have a carrier rate confirmation, load number, rate, and company name, contact name, his phone number, his email, and then it says here mode, full truck load, equipment, RGM, product, mobile air curtain carbonizer, driver, Sergei, my phone number, truck, my other phone number, and then it says this load is over dimensional. And then, okay, let's see what they put in here for notes, like basically instructions to carrier. And rate details here. So this paid $11,550 because there was a $200 layover, $50 Christmas dinner. Oh yeah, this guy was good. He gave me even $50, I remember, because I had to wait like 3 days over Christmas. And then $13.50 driver layover. So this was from where? Oh, this was from Cambridge, Ontario to Florida. Okay. And so yeah, this guy actually, it looks clean, the rate confirmation, lots of white space, but has a lot of information over here. And special instructions, basically describes this machine. And I did a video about this. That's when the president of that company was loading this, and this was December. The trailer was slippery, the machine slipped off, like one of the tracks fell on the ground. And I had it on video. Just look up December 2018. It was called Enviro Saver, like environment, but just one word, Enviro space Saver. And this was 79,000 pounds. And here on the second page, they say, okay, port unload. So this delivers to a port. Paperwork for this port is very important, and we need your attention to detail. You will have a doc receipt that needs to get stamped. We need a copy of that document within 12 hours or less to clear customs for our customer. Also, you may be given a bill of sale or invoice. Wow, there's a lot of instructions here. TWIC. So this is a port load. Your driver must have an active TWIC. Detention will not be paid at the port. Driver load unload. This load requires the driver to load unload this equipment. If your driver cannot load unload this equipment, do not take this load. If you have to hire someone to load unload this equipment, you will not be reimbursed. Oversized load. This is an oversized load. Equipment, permits, pilot cars, etc. are your responsibility to meet the requirements of this load. Delays from permit companies, states, and other activities out of our control will not be paid detention or other fees. Okay. So this is good. Lots of good info here. You see, driver load unload. Actually, my boss, we included this as well. So the carrier must know how to load and unload, and then all permits and pilot cars are the responsibility of the carrier, and they're not going to pay detention for delays caused by permit companies, states, and other activities out of our control. So this is good. So basically, I'm just doing my homework, right? So what I can do next time with the next load to make sure that the trip goes better than what I have now. Okay, so here's one company I work with called ST Freight. I moved something here from Ontario to Ohio. Oh, Hitachi. Hitachi, 21 foot 9 inches long, 11.6 wide, 11.3 tall. Paid $4,800. Okay, at the bottom Very simple rate confirmation, just, phone numbers, name of the guy, my name, my company name. And then at the bottom it says, by accepting this load, driver must have enough hours in the logbook to meet the delivery date and time. OS&D calls must be made from delivery location. Any claim will be deducted from settlement. No double brokering. Lumpers must be pre-approved and have valid receipt, and which is funny, right? Because this is an overweight load, and they're talking about lumpers, which normally I use for like reefer loads. And STF, which is ST Freight, does not issue advances for lumpers without a fee. Carrier is responsible for all missed and canceled appointment fees. Carrier is responsible for count and condition of product. Yeah, in this case, Hitachi 1, check. Carrier must be ELD compliant or proof of exemption. Or check calls must be made daily before 10:30. Driver must call the number on the top of page for dispatch. $100 fee for improper bill of lading. $100 fee for improper bill of lading. Or what they mean is that, sometimes carriers are lazy, and instead of, let's say I'm a carrier, right? So somebody just sends me this rate confirmation, and it has the address, origin, destination, and then it has the load information, and then it has the fee, right? And some carriers will use this as a bill of lading, and they will get the shipper and consignee sign, and then they will send this to the broker. And many brokers are not happy about this because this is not a bill of lading. It shows the internal info between the broker and the carrier. Specifically, it shows the rate, right? And so this gets brokers into poor standing with shippers. Let's say, if they, because of course there's a difference, right? That's how brokers make money. And so when carriers use the rate confirmation instead of a bill of lading, that's a big no-no. And you see, these guys will charge you $100 fee for improper bill of lading. And I'm pretty sure that's what they mean. Okay, and let's look at the other one before you guys fall asleep. So this was July, I think. Okay, let's look at June 2018. Oh wow, what did I really? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 folders inside June. Are you telling me I did 5 loads in June? Okay. Let's look at this one. This one is called B2B transportation. Okay, carrier name, pickup, so and so, weight 88,000 pounds, going to Michigan. Oh, I know what it is. Rate $27.50. Currency USD. And then these guys have the half of the page at the bottom is basically notes and agreements and terms. Very fine print. Again, I doubt carrier will read that because it's a lot here. But let's just see what's the most important ones here. Okay, special instructions tells you who the customs broker is, because this goes from Ontario to Michigan. And then declared value, 100 grand. Yeah, this was a big excavator. And then here, conditions. 1, this rate includes all stop-off charges, fuel surcharges, loading and unloading, out of route, tolls, detention, storage, and or arbitrary charges. Basically, that's it. No more money that the carrier can expect. Number 2, deviation from these rates must be approved in writing and signed by both carrier and broker. Okay. Number 3, all drivers must call the broker for dispatch, loaded, and empty. And again, what they're telling you is that call for dispatch means that you have to call them to confirm that you received the rate confirmation, and then they will send you a bill of lading separately. And you see, these guys specifically say must call for dispatch and what did it say? Loaded and empty. And I asked that, the carrier who's moving my load, I asked him, right? Please tell me when your trucks are on site loading. Ignored completely. Number 4, this rate agreement and current insurance must be on file, plus original bill of lading. Okay, number 5, driver is responsible for weighing the load. Number 6, driver is required to enter shipper and consignee locations with standard PPE, personal protection equipment. Number 7, any delays of loading or unloading must be reported to the broker immediately. Late pickup or late delivery may result in a rate reduction, or, I like this, late pickup or late delivery may result in a rate reduction. So for example, if I had this on my rate confirmation and the carrier was 11 days late, I could tell them, hey, either you do it for half the price or I find another carrier. Late pickup or late delivery may result in a rate reduction. See, this is good. If the routing of the shipment includes California, the carrier certifies, forget it, nobody's going to California. Number 10, double brokering is not allowed, may result in delayed or non-payment. Again, so means that if they catch you giving this load to somebody else, they will not pay you any money. Driver must have adequate eligible hours of service to meet the pickup and delivery schedule for the shipment. And that's actually what happened to me already with my load number 1 when the guy was moving a trailer. And he never told me when he was at the shipper, never told me when he left the shipper. And then I called him the next day and I said, okay, can I get your location? And he says, well, I'm at home. I'm taking 48 hours off to clear my e-log. What? And that's what this means, you see? Driver must have adequate eligible hours of service. Like when you take the load, you kind of like certifying to me that you have enough hours, because I don't want the carrier to load and then sit at home for 3 days, right? But many guys do this and they don't even tell the broker. So where are you? Oh, I'm sitting at home. Wait, I thought we're delivering, but at least that guy, he met the delivery. Like he was not late. He delivered exactly when they wanted him to deliver. But that's what, might happen, right? So if you don't have enough hours, you'll be late delivering. And that's why they put in this clause, because, it's all timely, time-sensitive issue, right? Okay, what else is here? And driver or dispatcher must immediately call the contact listed below if the product or destination on the bill of lading are not the same as on this carrier confirmation. When they try to steal the load, maybe. And carrier must immediately notify the broker with questions, problems, or delays. And then at the back, they say, kind of like give you invoicing instructions. All invoicing must be submitted to our corporate office. All invoices must include clear copies of the signed delivery receipt. Original paperwork is required. Okay, that was sometimes, kind of like original paperwork. What the heck? What, you're not gonna accept emailed proof of delivery? And then I only saw this a couple of times, and then I would call the broker, say, what the heck? You want me to mail you the original signed bill of lading? And the guy would like, oh no, it's okay. That's just kind of like our old condition, because nobody does that. But these guys actually specifically say original paperwork is required for all perishable loads, okay, for perishable loads, and must be mailed to the broker. And then they give you the address. Okay, again, so that's what another issue that some brokers show is that they have a standard rate confirmation, and they do all kinds of loads, not just heavy haul machinery, but they do reefer and drive-in, and then they include all these stupid conditions that are not applicable to heavy haul, right? They talk about lumpers, now they talk about perishable loads. I don't need that, right? So as a broker, that just reminds me to be careful and attentive to what I put in the carrier confirmation. But it's very flexible. You know, when I working on the rate confirmation, I can add and edit lots of details. You know, but again, as I discovered, if you put too much stuff in there, nobody will read that fine print. You know, like 2 pages long, right? So you really should put only the most important stuff. You know. Okay, maybe shall we look at one more? Okay, it's the same month. This was OFS out of Minnesota. Okay, notes. When calling the broker for dispatch, please have the driver reference load number, so and so. And then product description. This was some kind of a... So TL or LTL. Okay, you see they specify truckload. So this is full truckload, weight 90,000 pounds. A rate, so this was Tiger Cat machine from Ontario to Utah. I see the rate, and then I sign at the bottom here, but I don't see notes. Okay, special instructions. On page 2, they have special instructions. Driver must call the broker for dispatch before loading. Again, like that's like call for dispatch. What the heck? Do not double rebroker this load. Shipper will be checking the name on side of truck. The broker does not provide com checks or any advances. Original BOL and invoice must be mailed for payment. Like nobody does that anymore. Nobody mails originals. It's all email. The broker will deduct $25 per hour for late deliveries unless prior arrangements are made with and approved by the broker. $25 per hour. So 10 hours is $250. That's a good condition. The broker will deduct $25 per hour for late deliveries unless prior arrangements are made with and approved by the broker. Interesting. Again, this will just give you an idea, and this will help me hopefully with the next load. Again, I find that many brokers use generic rate confirmations. Half of the conditions do not apply to specifically machinery and equipment, so I gotta be careful about that. Remove everything that does not relate to machinery, because my specialty is machinery, and do not put in too many notes or special instructions. Just put the most important ones, and for me right now the 2 most important ones, maybe 3 from what I had encountered myself. So you must have enough hours in your on your e-log to pick up on time and deliver on time, right? I had that problem with the load number 1. Number 2, do not accept this load if you cannot pick up the, do not accept this rate confirmation if you cannot pick up the load on the date indicated on the rate confirmation, right? So my current carrier was 11 days late. And number 3, that I'm really passionate about, communication, right? You must tell me, carrier must advise the broker, arrived at shipper, loaded, departed shipper, then a couple of updates from the road, like in transit updates, at least 1, and then arrived at the consignee and empty. So I need those at least 5 updates, right? Arrived shipper, departed shipper, in transit, arrived consignee, empty. So minimum 5 updates required by this broker. So hopefully this was an interest to some people that are either truckers or brokers. or thinking about going into brokering, or thinking about selling your brokerage business and becoming a trucker, or maybe selling your truck and becoming a broker.